Now that we know a lot about Git inner workings, we can go take on a more common approach to development. You can imagine that by using the basic workflow, every single change you made during the development process is recorded in the history. Sometimes it could be something as silly as a typo in documentation, nothing that we want to keep for posterity. More often, the history that we are interested to keep in the public main branch is for every time we release something, or when we release a bug fix or a feature fix, all parts of the semantic versioning process. So basically, that's every time we tag a commit. All the other commits that we keep in history are no longer relevant. For those cases, the development or feature branch Git workflow is recommended. In here, we start with an initial commit. Let's start with a new construct solution and name it feature branch Git flow. Let's name the project simple GUI and let's hit create. Let's go and open the solution in Visual Code. Let's create a repository. Let's add the git ignore. Let's add the git attributes. We're gonna create our first commit with basically nothing else but the beginning of the project. Now, before we start adding any pages to our project, let's create a new branch and call it development. You do that through VS Code by going to the lower left and clicking on the name of the branch. You can see the branch symbol right here. Then selecting create new branch and naming it. You can see on the lower left again that we are right now on the development branch. Now let's go to construct and add a page one with two buttons. Let's go to VS Code and create a README where we are going to keep track of what we are doing. Now let's commit our changes. Now let's add a page two with a slider. Make sure we save. Let's track the changes in the README. Commit. And finally, we're going to create a page three with a widget and a graphic. And we're going to add all of that to page three. We're going to save and update the README. Now let's commit our changes. At this point, we are happy with what we did. We consider the project finished and we are ready to release. So basically it's what we did on the first video. Now let's go to the history and see that we have three commits. In a normal development process for a medium-sized project, there might be dozens of commits and they might not contain very important information. It could be just something like I fixed a typo on the README. So now before moving on making a release, let's just check real quick the power of branching. Right now in the history, you see a linear history with two marks. In the bottom is the main branch and at the top is the development branch. We can quickly go back in history without affecting anything that we did by checking out the main branch. We can do so by clicking the branch in Git graph and clicking checkout branch. You can see now that main is bold and it's got a circle next to it, while development doesn't. This is called the active branch. If we go back to construct, we're going to get some warnings that things have changed. In fact, page one was deleted. It has because we have gone back in history. So we click reload. Page two was deleted. Page three was deleted. The widget was deleted. And that what we see is exactly where we were in the beginning. Nothing on the project. Now, nothing has been actually deleted. Everything exists in Git history. So now let's go back to the development branch. We have just moved our working directory back to the development branch. Let's go to construct. And there are all of our pages and the widget, and we can open them. And we can see that the two buttons are there. That the slider is there. And that the widget is there without the graphic. Again, another byproduct of construct. We need to close the solution and open it. Let's go to page three. And there it is. What we want to do now is to create a clean history for the main branch, one without all of the commits we made in the development branch. Now we are going to go back and check out the main branch. And we're going to right click on the development branch and select merge into current branch. VS Code gives us some options. We're going to click squash commit to squash all of the commits previously done on the development branch. We're going to select no commit so that the VS Code gives us the chance to write a message and not immediately commit. We're going to hit merge. Now notice how VS Code has auto-completed our commit message with all of the commits from the development branch. We can go ahead and accept that message or edit it. We are going to edit it. Pay special attention for this extra line. If you don't add an extra line, all of the lines are going to be considered part of the main message. And now we're going to hit commit. And now you can see that there are two histories, one belonging to the main branch with only one commit, and one for the development branch with all of its commits. If we look at the info on the main branch, we can see the comment that we created. At this point, we are done with development. We can delete the development branch. We don't need it anymore. We can ignore the not fully merged warning. This shows up because we did a squash commit instead of just doing a normal merge. And now we can go ahead and tag it. And then we can push it to the remote repo. We are going to go to our Git repository, create a new repository. We are going to name it the same way as our solution. We're going to make sure that there's not a README, a git ignore, or a license. We're going to copy the commands, go back to VS Code, start a terminal window, and paste the commands. Let's check it out on our remote repository. And if we look at our history, only two commits are shown. Here's our message. So that is pretty much the process. If we want to start adding more features or fix any bugs, we start the process again. Let's do it really quick. Let's create a branch called error one fix. We're going to go to construct, open page one, rename button 2 to say start projector. We're going to save, and we're going to commit. We're going to go to page 2, make the slider longer. I'm going to save and commit. And now we're ready to release. Once again, we're going to go to main. We're going to check out the branch. We're going to select the error one fix. We're going to select merge into current branch, squash commits, show me the message. We're going to edit, and we're going to commit. We're done with this branch. We can delete it. And we're ready to push. Now it is up to you if you want the development branch or the error branch to be pushed to the remote repo. Sometimes that it's convenient if you're spending several days doing a development branch and you want to have a backup in the remote repo. At the end of the development type, you can both erase the local branch and the remote branch. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.